And we are live. Welcome to the Dash Force Free Amigos. It is Friday the 13th.
Oh, thank God it's Friday.
I'm Mark Mason. I'm joined by my two fellow amigos, Joel and Brian. And this is the 21st episode, boys. Can you
Wow.
believe it? The weeks
Wow.
just keep on rolling.
You forgot the fourth amigo, Brian's gat in the background.
Let's not.
Always
don't
our
talk
buddy
about
on these
that.
shows.
No, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Speaks
it's a
for
squirt.
itself.
It's a squirt gun, for Christ's sake. It's a plastic squirt gun. Come on, guys.
Okay, so we have potentially, hopefully, two guests for you today, peeps. So,
Oh my goodness.
all you lovely folks, very last minute, we should hopefully have Graham de Barra from Operator Incubator that has brought you Bitcart and also Festi to hopefully talk about the update today, to talk about the changes within the Bitcart model to scale, because they've had a problem. They've been a victim of their own success due to the huge demand. I only learned recently that I believe it was something like 25% is coming from South Korea. So it's not just the exchanges buying up 40 to 50% of the 24-hour volume every day of Dash. They're actually buying Bitcart on things from Amazon.com as well. Apparently, Amazon is a huge market in South Korea. Who knew? I didn't know. Did you guys know?
Not that much.
Yeah, I did know. I don't care about your hype. I did know.
I just think it's great that people are actually using Dash now and spending it. I mean, like, obviously a lot of people like to hold it because I believe in it and I think it's going to go up. But yeah, I've got to tell you, boys, I'm sure you guys have got questions about the Irish Pubs Awards that I went to on
before the question,
Monday.
I'd urge our studio audience, or our viewers from around the world, bitcart.io/buy. Just go there, right? Because this is the answer to all the problems when you're talking about. Oh, it looks like Graham's just popping on. Hi, Graham. We're just pimping out your site. So bitcart.io/buy, and you go there, and it just says choose your gift card value, and it gives a little meter of how full Bitcart is. And right now it's 58% full. And once it's full, and they can't handle any more orders here, you can't buy anything. So you're either getting, I mean, hopefully, right? We haven't really tested this out, but hopefully you're either getting good service or you're just not able to buy at all. So that, therefore, you won't have people being like, I waited a week and I DM'd them on Twitter and then all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's not showing up on mine still. I keep refreshing it. It's still showing Bitcoin full at 0%. That could be
Are you on
problem on my end.
/buy?
Yeah, I see the thing. I see the Bitcart full at 0%. It says I'll keep trying it because Joel seems to have good luck with it. But I did try it. There was some controversy about everything, and I tried it Wednesday. I bought a gift card Wednesday evening about 9:30, and by 6:30 a.m., less than 12 hours later, I had my gift card, and it was all good. So
yeah,
that's my experience.
Instead of talking about them in third person, Graham, are you actually there? Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine, guys. Can you see and hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I can see your profile picture. You look very engaged, but you look a little stoned, and that's not probably the best picture of you. So you might as well show your real face.
Aha. Well,
there you go.
Yes.
I'm not stoned in that photograph, and I actually believe that it is one of the nicest photographs of me. So you just have to see me in real life now. Sorry.
You still look stoned.
Yes.
Is this an accusation? Is it, Mastermind? You know, you guys are the ones from the United States of America.
All right, boys, let's be serious. Today's been a very, very important day. So obviously I've been traveling a lot. I come back. So there was lots of activity within Bitcart today. Obviously Bitcart released an update via Medium blog. So please do check that out. The great thing is that Bitcart are listening to the community and they are engaging and they are taking everything on board. And I personally thought the update addressed everything perfectly. So Graham, here's your opportunity. Do you want to talk about the details of the update? We've just mentioned bitcart.io/buy, but we've not had a chance to say, why about the limitations and the first come, first served, etc., etc. Do you just want to elaborate on that a bit?
Yes, so over the last couple of days, we received a few complaints, most notably a complaint that was made by a very respectable member of the Dash community, Amanda B. Johnson. And immediately after Amanda's post, I had made a response. Sorry, I had made a response to that tweet, and this was followed up by an emergency developer core meeting, which led to a number of resolutions that were made. First of all, we addressed any of the outstanding orders that were on the database of Bitcart, and anyone who has a pending order has been contacted. Now, there were a couple of issues which a lot of it has to do with the scaling, which has been mentioned before. Now, we addressed this in a blog post yesterday, and this blog basically responded to some of these complaints, and you can find that on our Medium blog as well. Now, second of all, after addressing it, we had to solve it, and so we did that today. So this is all over a 48-hour turnaround, by the way. So I'm really happy with the developers for being, I suppose, present the entire time and really listening to a lot of the comments and feedback that was emitted by the Dash community, both on Reddit, on Twitter, and even other social media as well. Now, I suppose we do prefer to keep orders and the delivery of codes via email for security purposes. We don't want to send codes via Twitter, so that is one reason why we redirect people back to our email address after they've reached out to us on these social media channels. But the solution now, finally the solution that we did undertake, which is currently on the bitcart.io/buy URL. So I can link that in the chat there in a second, or else someone else can do it now. We've actually added a supply meter. So this meter basically will alert users once we've gone over our current supply threshold. Now, our current supply threshold, this varies day to day. We know what the average is, and we can take averages, and some days can be more, some days can be less, but this is metered very clearly on an indicator, kind of like a speedometer. Although we're working on another graphic which will make this look even better. So this will prevent anyone from being able to purchase when we don't have the supply. In other words, there will not be any more delays. In theory, due to the proportion between supply and demand, which before the demand went really, really high as a result of taking on Dash and dropping Bitcoin. So that's our solution to the problem. We're continuing to monitor the situation. We are continuing to increase our customer service and support. The last resolution then that we actually have done over the last 48 hours, we've lined up a number of interviews with members of the Dash community who have opted in to help us. I think a lot of this conversation and this discussion has actually been quite constructive. We've taken a lot on board. So I do appreciate people for giving their help and giving their assistance and their comments as well. So this interview, we have an interview coming up next Wednesday with a really, really great person from the community. I think everyone's going to be really excited if this goes through. I hope so. And this will be a new representative of Bitcart from your very own community. So that's in essence how we have solved the supply issue. We by no means are running away from this problem. We're by no means, evading this problem. I sit before you now to address this and to nip this in the bud before anything gets out of hand. So that's, if you have any questions, as always, put them in the chat.
Yes, so there's one question right out the gate. It's about, please elaborate on why some people are getting gift cards that are already used. Where are the gift cards sourced? Directly from Amazon or somewhere else?
They are not supplied directly from Amazon. If we were to source our gift cards directly from Amazon, we would not be able to give any sort of discount. The most discount that we might be able to give would be like 1 or 2%. So this is not actually compatible with our business model. We source gift codes and validify gift codes through other sources. This is actually through the Bitcart's website itself. This is at www.bitcart.io/sell. So what happens there is people sell us gift cards, we pay them Dash, we verify the gift cards before we pay them Dash, and then we use the gift cards for the purchase orders, which are paid using Dash. So the entire system stays in Dash. Our main security guy is from Amazon previously, so this gives us an upper edge compared to other companies out there, such as Purse and other companies who do a very similar thing. You know, they source them on the same website, but there's a lot less, I suppose, criteria or security measures gone into the purchases of gift cards on Purse. That is not to say we are perfected yet. There are instances where a gift card that we sell, there might be a mix-up, we might have sent it twice by mistake, there might be a human error involved, or there might be an error as well. There might be an issue on our end as well, you know, with our source. What we're doing in our next update is actually automating a lot of these functionality, so it won't allow a gift card to be sent which is invalid. It will basically be able to validate it up until the very last step, in the very last instance where it's sent out. So these are all things that we're increasing, that we're improving. We will say that this supply issue has now been dealt with and will reduce the delay times. The new member of the Dash community will solve the customer service issues, and the automation, which is now the next step, will solve any sort of invalid gift cards in the future.
Yeah, I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of business on BitCart, and I've only got one code that was bad. I sent an email. They almost immediately sent me a new one. It was all good.
Let's be honest, Brian.
Yeah, it can happen.
You're probably the biggest buyer.
No.
One of them. But anyway, I'd like to welcome Alex to the chat. Hi, Alex.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Alex is a esteemed member of the core team. I believe the lead evolution backend developer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. For DAPI, actually.
Yes, very good.
What's his name? Obscuro, is that right? Is that
Obusco?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little bit obscure of a name, but yeah.
Yes. So actually, this is great that Alex has come into the chat with Graham as well, because I was actually talking to Graham about you, Alex, literally the other day. We was having a great conversation about POS solutions, and it's a topic that you and me, Alex, are both very passionate about. We spoke about instant send and the need for a solid POS system for the Dash ecosystem. And with Festi, I've got it on my and now, and I've also, hope Graham doesn't know this. He doesn't know this. I've got a souvenir as well.
Oh, you nicked a card?
Yeah. So, well, just for memories, right? But also to the community, I will be doing an article about my experience at the Irish Global Pubs Awards. But Alex, so Alex is actually working on the instant send feature as well, right? So without going into developer speak, this is going to be like a simple sort of container, right? So solutions that want to add the instant send solution, they can just easily integrate that. So say, for example, if Graham wanted to integrate instant send into Festi, you could help him out with that. Is that correct? Is that my understanding?
Yeah, sure. Actually, that's the need of a lot of customers. Having the opportunity to spend some Dash at your local merchant, actually, we need a POS solution for that. So that's why I'm really passionate about that, because I think it's a gap that we need to reach in order to provide a good services to our different merchant or customer. So anytime you need any help on instant send integration, I'm surely can help on that. Yeah.
Excellent. And hopefully, if anyone knows Kodak's, who's developing the Dash POS system or anything, tell him to get in contact with me and Alex, because we want to push things forward. We want to start talking to businesses and get that POS solution out there. But yeah, it's great to have you, Alex, on the show. I've wanted you to come on for so long. So I actually met Alex in person at the Dash conference, and we sat down and I probably burnt his ears too much. We had a good few-hour conversation, and I literally asked him everything. But for those that don't know, Alex, everyone I met in the core team holds Alex in such high regard. They say he is like the man when it comes to you know, coding and everything. They basically say like him, Andy Free are like the guys. So you was actually involved in the resolving the Alt36 conundrum the other day, right, with the multi-sig wallet thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually the fix has taken me a little time because we had a roadmap that we tried to stick on, and sometimes you have this kind of problem that you need to fix. It's the top priority problems. So whatever you are doing, you have to drop that and fix the most quickly as possible. So we actually had the whole team working on that in order to provide the best fix that we can, and had the help of Pierre and Nathan on that. So it's not only me, it's really the whole team working on that, yeah.
Okay. Graham, just to bring you back in the mix, I hope you don't mind. I haven't spoke to Graham about this before, but I actually had an email today. Someone asked me about Festi in terms of security in NFC, and I know you're a big security guy yourself, and it wasn't my place to answer it, so I'm glad you're here now. So if it's okay, may I ask you a question about Festi?
Ask me anything you like, Mark. This is why I'm here. You may grill me and I have to answer, right? I'm on the spot. So
well, yeah, come on, it's me and Joel. It's good cop, bad cop, right? So,
Who wants to be the asshole? I could be the asshole.
He's a bad cop.
Everyone knows Joel's the arsehole. I'm the nice guy. That's how it works, but it works well, right? So, well, maybe not so well with Charlie, but we're getting there with Charlie Schramm. Anyway, my question is,
should not be uttered when I'm here, please.
Yeah. So I've seen Festi work in action. I was there. I got a drink for it. It was absolutely amazing. I'm singing its praises, and I can't wait to write an article and show pictures of it working and people using it. However, someone messaged me today. So basically, whether you're using the wristband or the NFC contactless pay card, it uses NFC communication, right? Near field communication. Now, a lot of people now are purchasing wallets that have NFC protection because we've seen articles in the news that people are scanning people's bank cards because that uses similar technology, and now a lot of applications. And someone asked me, like, Mark, okay, if this is effectively a digital wallet card that you would top up with Dash, if I'm walking around with it, what security measures there are preventing people from being able to withdraw my Dash off my card? And honestly, I didn't know what to say. All I could think of was, I know 10X, where they've got their card, they have their virtual wallet app as well. So you can do it for PIN. So when you go to pay, you have to use your phone to put in your PIN to verify it as a kind of 2FA kind of solution, right? But I mean, like, is this a conversation you boys have had over at Opera Incubator?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Security was fundamentally the first thing that we actually sat down and thought about. I mean, it's all well and good to have a convenient way to pay with Dash, but it's a whole nother ballgame when you're actually holding people's Dash, or you're responsible for people's Dash. There's a couple of ways for us to mitigate this risk. One of them is actually a hardware, or kind of like a blocker, as you say. This can be added to the actual wristband and flip it open like this, and it can be added to a wallet, a physical like wallet you just showed there, and your card is inside it, and it's actually blocked. It's like an NFC blocker. There's actually a really popular company in Ireland that produces these as well. They are funded through Dragon's Den, just doing NFC blocking. So you're right, it's a big concern. The entire country of Ireland is contactless. I'm sure most of America and the UK are as well. This is going to become an increasing problem and security risk, not just for NFC crypto wallets, but for Visa cards, MasterCards, credit cards. So this is a problem that everyone needs to be mobilized and thinking about. We can't just single out the crypto community or Dash community as the only ones who has this problem. In fact, another way to mitigate this risk is actually by giving the consumer control of their limit spend on their app. So when you have a Visa card in the UK or in Ireland, you have a £30 or €30 limit on it per day. You have it per transaction, and 4 transactions per day. So the idea is you won't be able to go 4 swipes, or about 3 or 4 swipes, so about €120 or so in the whole. You couldn't be robbed for more than that. Now, what we allow on our smartphone app is the ability to decide what limit this is yourself. So you can place, let's say, a timer or a limit, you say, depending on which times of the day. If you're just going out for a drink, you could place a limit of, you only want maximum €10 transactions to go through, because you know you're literally just using it for small items. Or if you're going on a larger trip, or you're going away or you want to be paying for larger groups of people, like at restaurants or something like that, where you might feel you're in good company, or you feel like you're in a safer environment. Maybe you're not drinking alcohol. That's human error. We can't forget, human error is the biggest cause for security problems, right? So a lot of it is taking responsibility, not just of your life, of your dash, but of your banking, of the ability to spend. And with that sometimes comes security as well. Now, the third way is actually doing it through a 2FA system as well. We actually investigated this in London last week when we were at the Pay Expo conference, and we met with a number of telecom companies who tried to assure us that it wasn't possible to add 2FA on without a SIM card. So you have a lot of old paradigmers spreading misinformation about 2FA. Like you don't need internet or any signal at all to have 2FA on your smartphone. You can use Google Authenticator or a number of others. So these are three things that we're currently looking into. We're definitely looking into more options as well. The idea is that we want something that's not going to be detectable by a unverified POS processor. We also have to stress as well, like at the beginning, initially at least, the hardware is going to be, there is aspects of centralization in terms of who's making the hardware. It's us. Who's making the POS systems? It's us. Who gets access to the POS systems? Only people that are verified through us. So, there is a lot of KYC and stuff that we can put in place on the merchant end. In other words, if someone is swiping someone, all we got to do is check, well, which POS system, and just call the police and get involved legally if that needs to be done. Insurance as well is a major point, which I don't know, do other Dash debit cards, I'm not sure do they go into so much detail here. We had a meeting with PayPal in Dublin 3 weeks ago at the blockchain summit in Dublin, where I was one of the keynote speakers, and this was a major point which was actually brought up at that particular meeting, and that is the issue of insurance. So nothing's 100% foolproof. There is a lot of things that you can bring in place which can mitigate security risks, and these are the steps that we have currently put in place, and there's a host of other things that we're looking at there in the future as well. But be reassured, we won't be releasing anything to the public before security is really taken care of.
Yeah, so a couple questions in the live chat. First off, is $200 the daily limit per person for BitCart now?
$200 is the daily limit if you are unverified on our system. So we're actually, right now, we're adding a tier system whereby you can enter information and details which will allow you to go over the $200 daily limit. This limit has been in place before today. If you notice it today, you didn't notice it before. Maybe that's because the tier system wasn't working properly until now. Actually, we have to have this tier system in. And it's easier for us to increase the tier system with verification of user accounts. This is actually really important for an e-commerce website to do, and we want to be sure that there's no sort of bad activity that's happening on our on our website. At the end of the day, we are in control of gift cards and people's money, so we want to be extra cautious here, and we don't want we don't want guest profiles buying up $2,000 worth of gift cards and then we're done for the day. And we have to be as fair as possible for the moment. If people want more than $200, just verify your account. Just enter your phone number, your name. That'll verify your account. You'll actually step up. I think it's 400 is the next one, and then I think 1,000 is the third one. But I'd have to sit down as well tonight after this call and finalize some of those tier systems. So don't worry, the $200 limit is only until you verify your account and sign up.
Yes. And the final question right here would be, how are sellers of gift cards verified to make sure they haven't bought them with stolen credit cards?
Yeah, that's a really important question. So I've been in the gift card arbitrage business for about 4 years. I have taken specialists from Amazon and I've directly hired them with my company. I call it poaching. Someone else can call it something else. I don't care. If there's talent out there and they're working with the big five, I want them working with Dash and with cryptocurrencies. We see a lot of people are trying to leave these big companies, and that's why I'm able to talk to people like PayPal and Amazon and get a lot of insight and understanding about payments and gift cards. Now, there's a lot of secrets I just can't, there's a bit of prying as well that I can't really release a lot of information about some of the criteria that we have in place, but be reassured that we don't allow gift cards that are purchased with credit cards full stop at the moment. So it's not possible for someone to be using a fraudulent credit card. And when we do expand the service down the line, we have ways of tracking the area code from credit cards. That's one very basic function. I won't be able to go into the rest. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of criteria.
All right.
Yeah, I thought of a Sybil attack vector. You kind of addressed it, but we'll talk about it after the show.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, I know you're a very talented individual, so you've probably had conversations within court already regarding Dash Evolution in terms of security. So have you had any thoughts on this? Because, this is really your domain, right? And I know we've had some passionate conversations about POS solutions. So is there anything you'd like to add to this discussion? Any potential problems or solutions that are coming to mind?
Well, obviously, a lot of my work would be very easy if the human brain was a good source of entropy. The problem is that it's not possible, and indeed, we have a lot of security issue to handle. First, you have obviously the user error, the user factor, but you have also the possibility to have your phone stolen, to have some jacking when we will try to get from you as much as information in exchange of your life, for instance. This is indeed a complicated solution, and we have to have that in our mind every time we are addressing each problematics we have. We don't always have the hold the answer. That's why we can do that in today, actually, because on some topic like that, we will be the first to find a solution to that. But yeah, that's indeed something that we really, really take care of it.
What about the Apple face scanner? We was having a long conversation before about the retina scanner, but the things, a lot of it's to do with the trends as well, right? So also some people don't like to do the fingerprint scanner as well, right? But that's become a very popular. But the thing is, in the mainstream, most people aren't as security conscious. So if they're using it to unlock their phone and everything else, then, or the retina scanner as well, that seems to be getting more popular now as well. Obviously,
that always depends on what do you use your phone for. Obviously, if you are a simple user and just liking some stuff on Facebook, you can use a face scanner or retina scanner. Maybe someone will steal your phone and will maybe be able to use it using a photograph of you, a picture. It has been done in the past. Some system has been very vulnerable to this kind of attack. Obviously, if you are, I don't know, not Steve Jobs, but if you are Tim Cook or Elon Musk, you won't use that at all. A PIN is not that much secure, obviously, if it's on only 4 digits. It always depends on the use you are doing on that. We have a big responsibility as technical person to try to educate as much as possible the user to security. People are still using password as a password. It's still a long step to do. I think if you're a simple user and maybe you just have, let's say, 20 Dash on your RAS band, yeah, you might lose 20 Dash, it will be hurtful, but in the other hand, you will have a ease of use. So it really, at each time you have to make the balance on what you want and how you want to protect it. For a big amount, you have to have big security.
Isn't this really important because you're developing the DAPI, right? I hope you brought your whiteboard as well. I hope you don't mind this, but in the after party last week, Alex came in, for those watching, and I was explaining to the people that came into the after party who Alex is and things he was doing, and he kindly brought out his whiteboard and broke down with Dash Core, DAPI, and everything, and how it was all interlinked. And I really think it helps those within the Dash community understand how things are being built and how they're interlinked and how they have to communicate with each other, and how all the teams are compartmentalized into different groups, and they're sort of working within their own sort of teams and how it's all coming together. I think that's so instrumental to understand. So at some point, hopefully in this podcast, you can do that if you don't
I actually have my my whiteboard today. I always have it. It's very useful, and I have a ton of paper too. But that's
right.
Yeah, so actually, there's a question that's been popping up around that. I asked Ian yesterday, the guy working on Dash Drive, and he didn't quite, maybe didn't articulate it properly for me. But the one question I've been floating around has been, if Evolution is going to be a web wallet, how secure, or there's going to have a web wallet component to that, how secure is that going to be? Because web wallets tend to be inherently less secure than, for example, like a mobile wallet or a core wallet.
Yeah, web wallet, actually, you have a problem because you don't really manage or you set up stuff in memory. So that's a huge problem because you can't try to obfuscate the data that you store. To be fairly honest, I don't use web wallet, and I don't encourage that. I prefer a Trezor or Ledger than everything else because you still have something physical. So at least it will force, exactly. It will force the people to come out in your place and try to have access to it. You still have the problem. One can go to your house and steal your TV or your Ledger wallet and force you to type the PIN code. And it's still a problem, but it's another problem. At least a hacker somewhere in Russia cannot just pop in your computer because you have a hole on that and try to steal the data from a 0-day on Chrome and get some private key because the developer didn't try to cipher it with some passphrase or something. You have a lot of different security aspects, and sometimes we tend to have to simplify because the user wants it to be simple.
You have to, because like
Yes.
Dash Evolution is going to be like a web wallet. If you think about PayPal now, where it's either the mobile phone app and everything else, you're going to have that solution for mass adoption and for ease of use. But I had a very in-depth conversation with Alex before, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but he was sort of leaning towards more in our heavy debate that he believes at some point in the future that everyone is going to have a kind of Trezor device because that's just the way things are moving forward. Are you still on that way of thought, or?
As of today, yeah. As of today, maybe there is a solution that I don't have, and one from the community will bring it to us, and we will work with him and have something better. But as of today, except an hardware wallet, I see very limited stuff that is as much secure.
Yes, so I put it pointing out
that not as easy. I think we will have a mixed situation where you will have most of your funding in your hardware wallet, but you will set up some 100 euro equivalent in Dash on exactly. I really think we will have something like that. And I was very, every time I had to deal with bank, they wanted to make me the new card with the NFC stuff. Each time I refuse the card and I ask a very dumb card. Today I'm maybe, today I'm not really using their card anymore, but I can understand really today why people want to use that. Because, well, first you have the bank that will cover the loss if one just came in and take your 20 euro. But you have a maximum spending limit of 20 euro on that. I can understand, and for some people, 20 euro is a lot. For some, it's a reasonable amount of money they can lose. So depending on your situation, you can have this mixed solution. In every case, I will never ever advise someone to put all their money in some exchange or web wallet or something like that. Actually, in my opinion, I prefer to download a software, but obviously I can audit it. But I prefer to download a software, cut internet, be sure that my webcam is off and everything like that, write on paper and use the paper and put it in safe security in order to save my passphrase. I prefer people to remember the passphrase than having noted somewhere in their phone or whatever. Always depending.
Yeah, we do have a proposal for that hardware wallet. Have you looked at that, Alex? Do you have an opinion from a security standpoint? The Bluetooth LE is. What do you think about that?
Okay, I'm still sure that we have the need of a hardware wallet. After that, you will always have the people that will be trying to make that hardware wallet. Obviously, I will prefer that one day Trezor step in and say, okay, we will do a wallet full Dash, and we would like to have the masternode owner to help us on that, than having someone that I don't know because of trust issue. I don't know the guy, but I have saw that I don't have enough information to judge without any pieces. I don't see any prototype. I don't see anything. Just there is an idea of a hardware wallet, and I totally submit to this idea. I really think it's a good solution. About the proposal itself, I don't have enough information in order to make a good opinion on that.
Graham, this is your opportunity.
Interesting that we get on the topic of trust, and this really brings up, I think, echoes all the words that Joel wrote about last weekend about decentralization and true decentralization. And I suppose it opens up a philosophical conversation on whether or not you believe that this is the world we live in. I mean, clearly, I think most of us would believe it's not. So even when we are trusting a card without NFC, it's still a bank. We're trusting a bank, right? We're still trusting, okay, and it's still with an exchange. The reason I think the parallel is made with not trusting a bank or not trusting an exchange, they're pretty much the same thing at the moment. You're trusting that the supply of Bitcoins or Dash or cryptocurrencies is actually there and present on that exchange and that platform. So I think it's we can only do the best out of the tools that we have at the given time and given moment. I think true decentralization will come. I am an idealist, Joel, so I do disagree with your realism I suppose standpoint. I do believe it's possible in the future, but for now we are dealing with some elements of trust, so we have to be very careful. If you believe that, then yes, cold wallet is the only way for you to secure large amounts of money. I agree with the hybrid system because you can't forever live in a locked room, right? You have to come out eventually, and you have to spend you have to be active in your community and in your life. Otherwise, I don't think you should be spending all your days just watching your wallet all day, sitting next to it with a shotgun or whatever. You gotta at the end of the day trust some people and trust some elements of some systems. That's the best we can do for the moment until we live in true decentralization, which is a big thing that we're trying to build here with Dash and with Opera Incubator.
Yeah, and you actually trust when you swipe your card on your merchant, you pay first and you trust that the guy will give you the merchandise. It's a limited trust because you have the guy in front of you, but you still have to live in a system when you have to trust at least a minimal amount. What we are trying to do is removing every bit of trust that we can, because we have some other solution on that. And it's not, you cannot do that like path in a second. It has to be step by step. And that's what we are doing, I think. Obviously, at some point, when you interact with people, there is a trust setting that is being set. You will trust someone that, I don't know, the masternode owner trusts the core team to bring evolution, and there is trust everywhere. Even if we try to reduce that amount of trust, it's a long step to be fully untrusted.
Okay, Alex, can I put you on the spot in the hot seat?
Oh, here it comes.
I don't think people understand what the Dash Dappy is. Can you just break down simply what the Dash Dappy is why it's a game changer, and why it's going to be great for Dash Evolution.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so that's the word paper part.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk with people trying to set up some entrepreneur or developers trying to set up some stuff in the blockchain, whenever they want to interact with the blockchain, they have multiple problems. One of the simplest problems that I can express is that you will have to manage your daemon, the Dashcore daemon. You have to manage that on a server. You will have to handle the load. You will have to have a way to communicate with it. Obviously, you can just use RPC, set up some stuff. Technical people will say, yeah, it's easy. You do that, and this. Yeah, but it's a huge amount of work you are spending on interacting and not building your stuff. And you are good at building your stuff. So what we are trying to do here is, because we want an ecosystem to be built around Dash, we really think that DAPI will be useful for that, at least for the end developer and entrepreneur part of it. The reason of that is a developer experience, an entrepreneur experience. Let me take my camera and make you look a little bit at that.
Yay, whiteboard time.
I will try to stick. So basically, you will have, I don't know, you will have a company or a customer on this phone here. This customer will have to interact with something in order to access, I don't know, his fund. Just spending his fund, you have to interact with the blockchain. In order to do that, as of today, you will probably have some peer-to-peer system that you can bring directly inside the phone. It can be complex to set up, at least for a developer or an entrepreneur. What we try to do is make something, so a little box that we call DAPI. So here you have the DAPI. The DAPI is actually just standing for API, which is an endpoint for a developer, and the D stands for decentralized. So you will have as many DAPI as you have masternode. So for a developer or for an entrepreneur is having 5,000 APIs that they can have, they can reach, and at quite no one can manage 5,000 servers themselves. So we at least remove that problematics to the developers. On top of that, you will have first the Dashcore, because in each of our transaction, this transaction has to be validated on the Dashcore. You will have to mine the block. You will have the whole security working on that. So this part is really important. In order to do that, we have a communication between these two. This communication can be get my end spend output, so the money that I have, and okay, I'm broadcasting my transaction, so making in the other way. But with evolution, we have additional thing. So one of these things will be Dash Drive. So Dash Drive is handling, let's say, data. It's very simple like this, but yeah, it's mainly handling the data, handling contact requests, handling more complex stuff. Obviously, each data that you have here has to be validated by the miner here. So you have a whole interaction between each of these parts. All this can only work together. Obviously, Dashcore works alone, but DAPI, Dash Drive needs Dashcore. You don't get out of the blockchain. You still need the blockchain security to do that. And with that, on, let's say, a phone, you will have all the parts that is being done by the front team, let's say the Copay wallet, for instance, that require a good user experience. And the whole thing try to work together. That's the main idea behind evolution. The evolution is providing a good endpoint, providing a good storage of data, at least some data, and providing a good security. And the whole system is evolution.
Cool.
So on that, if I can just express a little bit how the team is being split up. So obviously on each part that is UI and UX, you will have Chuck that you already know and that I respect very highly. Handle that with Joshua that we have saw last week, I think. On Dash Drive, you will have Nathan and Jan that is working hard on this part. How do you handle data in a decentralized place? How do you make such in a way that data cannot be modified? You have a lot of security stuff going everywhere around. And on DAPI, we are three working on that. And yeah, for now we are three working on that, which is providing the endpoint for the developers. So yeah, and obviously the Dash core team that you, I think, already know.
Mm.
So yeah, that's for the high level perspective. On each of the connection I've drawn, you have to imagine that we have always to think about security, privacy, ease of use for user, but developers too. We have a lot of things to think of on all of this part. And sometimes you have to make some choice in order to, yeah, bring the best thing we can do.
Yeah, all the mobile wallets now, they use the SPV. It's all centralized.
Exactly. And that's it's good enough. Same thing. It's good enough for the situation, but you still have to trust. I don't know. You have to trust the server that is being behind. On some part, Exodus, Jax, or whatever, they will still have to connect to one server. And okay, maybe for the little Joe that just want to use his little funding in order to buy a coffee, it's not a problem. But what for something like an Edward Snowden? Maybe someone can have access to this server and say, okay, you can do whatever you want. I just want this guy with these addresses to be enabled to pay, actually. You still have some way, if you know the technology, you have some way, like you have the passphrase, so you can have your own wallet and do the stuff by yourself. But for most of the user, if they aren't technical, you have a way of pressure by locking their fund. The way we want to do SPV with a decentralized system is we really want it to be decentralized. You have some other problem that is being bringing by the fact that you don't own the server in a closed environment, obviously, but that's part of the problem that we are solving in order to have a real SPV and decentralized without having a way to, well, it's complicated to go reaching out to each masternode and say, yeah, you won't accept that guy to spend his money.
You know, it's interesting you talk about mobile wallets communicating with servers. There was an issue with the Koinomi wallet recently where it turns out they were broadcasting data to the Electrum servers that they use in HTTP, not HTTPS, not encrypted. Mm-hmm. And someone found that out, and there was a big scandal, and then they lashed out against them and just said, everyone likes our wallet, screw you guys. And that was a little bit of an interesting reaction to that. But yes, it sort of brought my mind around to the problems that some mobile wallets can face because of that.
Yeah, Alex, do you want to comment on the Copay wallet thing? Because we discussed this before. So with the Dash Evolution, the Copay wallet's more of an intermediary than the actual foundation. That's correct?
We can make it a foundation. It's always a perspective of what is better for the user. It's really important that when we launch the Evolution wallet, the user have the best experience on that. We found Copay to be a good intermediary step, but only intermediary. We might have to find we might use other way to provide a good Evolution wallet. Obviously, it's not using Copay as a foundation isn't something that we have totally skipped. Like there is a good piece of code that we can directly use from Copay. There is a lot of stuff that we have implemented in the DAPI system. And actually, the DAPI system is not totally ready, but I've made some implementation in order to, so Copay still work with a somehow centralized system. And I've worked in order to make it decentralized in the DAPI itself. You still have some work to add on that in order to have this to be fully functional. But if we want to go there, if that will be the good solution at the end, we will be able to do that. As of today, we are on, copay for intermediary because we think it's the best solution. And actually, we have made a lot of thought on that. Yeah.
So is copay going to be out by the end of the year, the Dash version?
Yeah. I don't see. We have so part of this is my mistake. This week have been on the fix for the proposal issue we had. During that time, I wasn't able to fix something that I had on the server that we use for copay testing. So during that time, the guy that want to test the copay, and we have a bunch of them, wasn't able to set up the work on that. I was on something else. So actually, it's my fault, and I'm really sorry about that. Now everything is back to the normal, so we are already back to the testing phase. Obviously, during the time that we were working on something else, we have improved the copay wallet. We already have found some bugs that we are already in the process of fixing, and I saw some pull requests that seems to be already fixing everything. Not everything, but we are in this process. So I'm really thinking that, we should be good for the end of the year. After, it's always complicated. Let's say that we have an issue that we didn't know now. We will have to fix it, obviously.
Yes.
Is there an official release date on 12.2? Seems like I saw end of October somewhere. Is that official or?
Actually, we wanted to make that for September, but we had a lot of issue. We found a bug, and one of the bugs, is the one that concern instant send. In order to bring 12.2, we have to bring the modifications that we made on the deep one to Megablock. And with that, the new system works entangled with that. So we have to be very, very careful at each release. And obviously, it's not anymore managing a little startup or with, 10 users or whatever. We are managing a wallet that is being used for real fund of real people. And we cannot rush anything, even if I understand. I totally understand the community behind that. They want to have that as soon as possible, but we really have to be careful on what we are doing. We have to be sure that's how computing works. You have bugs that aren't found, and we have to find all of them in order to bring the best secure wallet possible. So sadly, we have that situation where we are late on the release, but actually, it was for September for both 12.2 and copay.
Is it going to be in October, the end of October, or we don't know yet?
If everything goes well, October is complicated because we are already half of October, and I expect still some work to be done on that. Most of it is being done. Really, it's fixing, verifying, being sure that everything works as it's supposed to. So I think it should be good for the next week. For October itself, I cannot say that. That's not my call to decide on that. We all have our release to keep on our side. My side is more about DAPI. I just know that I totally trust the team to be able to. I prefer them to be late and secure than to. We actually could rush it today. It could be something, and what we will be doing is that trying to add some modifications, sneak out that in order to say, oh, we had a bug, you have to update that. No, that's not how we should do that. We aren't doing. It's not making simple thing here. There is still some complex part, and we have to be very careful. And it's coming soon. On that, I can tell you.
Yeah. 12.2 and then 12.3 seems to be coming really quick after that. Is there a reason why they're so close together, the releases? I guess you got to figure out stuff in 12.2, and then isn't 12.3 supposed to be coming really quickly? Seems like quicker than normal.
I have an opinion on that, which is probably more mine than a world consensus, because you still have this security issue that I've talked about. In the software industry, there is two ways to do that. First one is you walk on a tunnel and you don't tell anything. You don't make testing or anything during 1 year. But during 1 year, you just develop the stuff. And after 1 year, you publish it. At this point, the whole ecosystem might have been changed. You might found some stuff. It doesn't work. People don't like, whatever you want. And you have another way to do, which is, I think, better. It's you do smaller stuff, but you try to release more often. This way, you have a real step-by-step work, and you don't push a big amount of work. The only problem with that is that we are on a specific system where we cannot force anyone to update. There is, this problematics is not easy to handle. So obviously, I would like to have smaller pushes, being rolled out, and smaller feature on a smaller release and more often. That's easy.
Now that makes sense. We're probably going to have that masternode, the rogue masternode issue. I guess that's keeping them so close. It's because we won't be able to flip the spork. And then when 12.3, we're going to have to wait again. We'll have that rogue masternode that steals the payments. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I have a question about copay that I'm going to sort of phrase by telling you a quick little story that happened yesterday and today. So there was a proposal for a Dash Morocco team to bring like a Dash school and a bunch of meetups and swag and stuff to Morocco. It was a 3-person team. They were all ready to go. They got funded. The guy who was controlling the funds, the guy who submitted the proposal, he gave 1/3 of the funds to his other 2 partners, and then he vanished. He basically defrauded the network, right? And then there's these other 2 people that now are trying to still complete the mission they promised to the masternodes, including paying back the 5 Dash loan they took out to submit the proposal fee. And shout out to DJ Crypto for providing that for them. Anyway, situation where they try to operate as a team, but because they had to trust one person, they lost their funds. Now, in a multi-signature wallet kind of scenario where you get funds directly from the Coinbase straight to a multi-signature wallet that then all 3 partners, right, have control over, that would definitely mitigate a lot of trust issues and make it a little bit more of like a decentralized autonomous organization with others similar beneath it. So are there any specific challenges behind using multi-signature wallets for Coinbase transactions, like straight from the blockchain? And if so, is there any kind of timeline that you think would be realistic to guess that this might be something that proposal owners can do? Like when is it going to be safe to assume that most proposal owners will be able to get their funds straight to a multi-signature wallet?
I cannot tell you this information because it's not, again, it's not my responsibility. That's the work of the Dash core. I know that we are working on that. I don't have the specific delay. It's not that this is undisclosed information. It's just that I didn't ask. We are working on evolution, so it's something that we have to do. Obviously, I just really don't know actually on that.
I think a immediate solution that could help with identifying more, let's say, better proposals than maybe not so good proposals. It was suggested time and time again, I think, on Twitter and by members of my team and probably a lot of other teams too. It's like having some sort of review committee, which would basically oversight kind of a lot of the proposals. We could have people and elect people such as Amanda, Joel, Mark. I'm just sharing out names of the community. Maybe Alex as well. So someone from core would be nice. It'd be nice to mix it up between community and core, and some higher standing members of the Dash community, and maybe have some voting mechanism as well in place. So imagine if we had two votes. So imagine if we had two platforms. We have something like the masternode system, and we have something like a non-masternode system. So the masternodes are, at the end of the day, they make up 99% of the tally of the vote. But the intention of having non-masternode voters to vote is to test. Interesting to see what the sentiment of the users of Dash and the sentiment of the masternode holders, and to see where do these conflict, and would these ever conflict if there was a poor proposal, let's say something around the lines of someone from the other side of the world who no one has ever thought of Skyping, other than maybe the odd Dash Force interview with Joel or Mark or Brian have the time to do it, which you guys are really overstretched, I think, at the moment. So imagine if there was another committee put in place as to oversight and rate, but then as well another voting mechanism in place just to compare and just to influence. It's not to make an executive decision with non-masternode holders. It's just to compare, to see any sort of dissonance that might exist between the community and the masternodes. We need to address these issues. Let's face it. I'm only in the community for 6 months or so, but there are certain things that funding, and like I'm right in front of you now because there's something that the community weren't happy with. So I'm standing in front of you. There's a lot of proposal owners out there who don't reply to emails, who don't come on video. And if they don't, tough luck, you don't get funded.
We need more accountability. And actually, I've had conversations with all of you here about this, on how we need a review committee. And the thing is, no one has the real answer. Graham, I think you really do raise an interesting point. Some of our service providers that offer the super share service for those that have 25 Dash to own a super share of a masternode, there are discussions about them being able to partake in their votes as well. I guess ultimately, once Evolution is about with their savings accounts, there are discussions about including voting systems with that. There is actually a proposal out now, Brian and Joel, by Paragon that he's meant to be submitting. But let's all talk about accountability, because we've all had discussions about rogue proposals. How can we have more accountability? Discuss.
Well, the review committee thing has been going on for quite a while, over a year. Big R Canada has brought it up a couple of times. He's just busy with other stuff. I tried to get it going again. Bill Tong kind of stepped up. He had something similar going. He put a proposal in, it was downvoted. I would like to see multiple ones of those. However, the one with Paragon, the last I checked, I was talking to him as well about that. I believe his originally was just going to be for the post proposals, not really the pre-proposals, not really any kind of escrow type.
Yes, it's still that way. Last I talked to him just earlier this week, and in fact, last night I sent him some schematics for what a flowchart would look like on a post-proposal review site, like where you'd have a slot for the deliverable and then slots for the updates along the way, and they could just proposal owners themselves could just plug those in themselves or be hunted down to do that. And then the masternodes are just saying, all right, so we funded all these things, let's check up on all these proposals. They go to one site and they just look and say, oh, this person, see, look, Alt36 has submitted a monthly update every month, and they're not quite at their deliverable date yet, but so far so good. Oh, the Charlie Shrem card, no, there's been missing a lot of things, and then at the deadline, it hasn't delivered, and it's just, they can just go see that all in one spot.
The reason it hasn't been done is because it's very difficult to do. Working with Bill Tong, I mean, he put a lot of work into it.
Because, like, as Graham said, he's given the courtesy, and obviously he's very passionate about Dash as well. He's actually a strategic partner with Dash, and he's come on here. So let's start from the bottom and build up. First question: should proposal owners be allowed to be anonymous? Should they be allowed to hide behind an avatar and an alias name?
It's up to the masternodes. The masternodes are going to have to decide that. They can downvote it if they don't.
What do you think?
Actually, there is a thing behind that anonymity. Let's say that we are doing a proposal review community and that we are all on it. Okay, we have name with picture. People maybe know them at least a little bit, which means that a company, a government can know us. They can get reach to us and say, okay, you can do whatever you want, but this proposal, you will tell that it's impossible to do because of technical problem or whatever. I don't care. You tell it's not possible to do. Then you have an influence on something that might be great, or that probably have a reason why they want you to say no to that. Maybe it's because of concurrence. Maybe it's whatever reason it is. You have a way to change the vote. It's a big thing. One of the awesome stuff between Masternode is that most of them are anonymous, and we want this to be to keep that way. We don't want anyone to know who is the whole list of Masternode because of this voting power. This is what helps us to be quite Sybil resistant. If we are trying to have too much power in a part of the balance, then we will have to have some masternode owners that are educated and are able to make the best choice, even if we are saying no, you should not do that. But if the masternode owners are as much educated in order to say no, then you don't need a committee at the first place. So it's not that easy. I think at the end of the day, you have to keep a lot of anonymity. You just have to find a way, you have to find a way that maybe we just don't have thought on it, on how you can be sure that if at the end of the day we don't provide what we have been asked for. So we have the case in France. In France, we have the promise of some ATM machine that we are still waiting. We need to have maybe to ask more information at the start of the proposal, like, okay, you can do half of the work and the other half we help you on that, but then it's limited. Some real people that really want to do in the same way that the 5- can limit some entrepreneur.
We need because last month we had a record amount of proposals, 33. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, at least Paragon admits that with his proposal system, with him reviewing them. So Graham, just to bring up to scratch, he's going to have a separate website and he's going to be reviewing them, giving his opinions. But there's a single point of failure in that, because if you've got someone reviewing proposals, they kind of have a monopoly on the truth. What happens if he gets paid off by one of these proposal owners, or they doesn't like it? Now, his point is, if I do a shoddy job and people don't like what I'm doing, then I don't get funded next month.
Yes. So here's my standpoint on that. From what I suggested to him for how to build the site, it wouldn't involve a lot of subjectivity at all. It'd be very objective, as in, here is a site, here is the proposal, here is what they promised at what date, here is where they promised the updates, and then you just add the updates that the proposal owner gave. So the steward of this site doesn't really have any kind of tyrannical power, any real leeway for abuse. Sort of like Dash Central. No one complains that Dash Central is a centralized service, and then no one can trust Rango to run it right, and who knows what. No one complains about that because it's just a structure that's useful, and all the content therein is all based on people who put things in. So that would be that kind of mitigates that. Now, the thing we have to remember, and obviously try to wrap this up a little bit because we're getting a little bit over time now, but what we have to remember is we can't fall for the Bitcoin scaling debate problem, which is, how are we going to scale Bitcoin in the perfect way? And then everyone has an opinion. They just fight over it. Everyone wants their perfect solution. And then over time, obviously there's a lot more going into that, but over time you have a big problem. And then big problem does not have a big solution. And then you have fights and splits and all this stuff. I think a lot of people understand the gravity of this project, of helping to review proposals and keep them accountable, and they're afraid to try. A lot of people are just, I don't want to try anything because it's too scary, or they try to come up with the perfect solution. They take too long making a complicated, unworkable thing, and it just doesn't work. No one likes it, or they implement it and then no one uses it. It's important to try a thing. Just do something that looks like it's going to work. Take something very simple, like take something like just a simple spot where everyone can keep up with what's happening with proposals, that's easy to use, and then that's it, and then try that. And if it works, then it works. You can build another layer of governance on top of that, and if that works, you can build another thing, and always test. And if things don't work, then rework them and do something different, right? The problem is you can't be too afraid to try, or we're just always going to have an imperfect governance system.
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly about making sure that it does remain anonymous. And it's going to be up to the masternode owners to, if it's a big proposal, they should be able to be anonymous unless the community demands that they're not. They shouldn't be just, you shouldn't have to, give your full name and everything else to get the proposals passed. Because look at this. If that was the case, I wouldn't have got the Dash Force proposal passed early on. We wouldn't be here because I was totally anonymous at the time. So it's up to the community and the masternodes to force that if it needs to be. But yeah, we need to make sure that anonymity is.
That's the good part about cryptocurrency and cryptography is you're able to establish a pseudonymous identity. So Moo Cow Moo, everyone knows Moo Cow Moo. He's a great dude. He does amazing things. Everyone trusts him with their money. No one knows what he looks like, what his real name is, where he lives. I mean, I know a few of those things, but most people don't.
He looks like a cow.
Yeah, he's black and white and kind of, he's pretty heavy. He probably weighs as much as all of us combined. No, just kidding. It's actually quite the opposite. But anyway, everyone trusts him despite not knowing anything about who he is, because they know who he is despite not knowing who he is.
Yeah,
they know his work, they know his word, they know all that despite not knowing the face. So that's the thing with Brian. Everyone knew, that mastermind guy has been in the community for a while. He's a masternode owner. We've seen what he's done. Okay, we can trust this guy, right? And just, Charlie Shrem is like a physical identity around that. The people are like, oh yeah, we know who this guy is. He did Bit Instant, a bunch of other stuff. He's been to prison, but we won't hold that against him. And so a lot of the Dash Core team seems to be a pretty good mix between public personas and pseudonymity, right? You have a bunch of people who are quite, like Ryan Taylor, very, very identifiable. And then you have, some people, again, like Moo, who just, it's a cow. What are you going to do? But everyone still trusts them.
As we wrap up, do we have any updates on the Charlie Shrem card or the 10X card?
New.
Well, Brian.
Don't ask questions you already know the answer to, Mastermind.
I don't have an update, but Brian, you shared something earlier this week that kind of was a curveball for me, because a lot of these Visa debit cards that me and Graham both agree on rely on the legacy banking system. MasterCard has kind of been untouched in this because most of them run on Visa, and we know MasterCard has a much more strenuous, difficult vetting process. However, you shared an article saying that the MasterCard are now having issues that Visa had, and Charlie Shrem's card via Pazer is meant to work on MasterCard. So the last thing we heard in terms of the updates was that they're at the printers, so they're printing up one of the prototype cards now. So it's not clear that it's been approved yet. So it's very, very big gray area. So go ahead.
When you rely on a system where you're asking Visa or MasterCard for permission, I think you've lost the point of cryptocurrencies, and you should go back to the starting point.
Yes. Yeah. I forgot to say this. At the award show as well, we were meeting publicans and business owners. I will do a separate video with Graham talking about the Irish pubs global awards, because I really want to talk about Festi and my experience and talking to business owners, because it's only talking to business owners and the questions and their daily lives. And actually, different industries have different needs and wants. But one thing that I didn't know, guys, so we normally say Visa, MasterCard, up to 3% fees. But one publican told me, they said, yeah, you know what? American Express is 4%. And I was just like, really? So when Festi came along, Graham did his presentation and said, I can save you over 50% in transaction fees with Festi. They're like jaws dropped on the table. That, when you think about those monthly accounts in business terms, that's huge. So as consumers, we don't always think about this, but as businesses, it is absolutely instrumental.
And you just need to remember as well our intention with both Bitcart and Festi. And that's to live truly in a decentralized world. I'm not talking about something that can be integrated with Shapeshift to shift you from Dash to Bitcoin, and then with an exchange or a Visa debit card, and they can then collect more fees and control you and still own your data. I'm talking about a world where we can directly integrate Dash with the merchant, so the consumer can directly pay the merchant with Dash and Dash only. These are the types of systems that I believe the masternode money should be used for. This is why I come on camera every week or every couple of weeks to come on and announce and updates with you guys. This is what I think we should be using our money towards. So, you know, there's a lot of debit cards out there, but I don't think they're ever going to fill the need that we have, no matter how much we fund them.
So last question from me, at least. When are you going to unveil Dogecart? I hear they have even lower fees than Dash.
Don't trigger me, Joel. So you could have said something so great, Joel, then, right? Instead of the joke.
That was great.
Joel is unbanked, so he is walking testament of this. Right? We want to do a video with Joel. This is actually Joel's idea, and I'm a big advocate of it. We want to do a video of him actually living unbanked, living off Dash. You can live off Dash, and obviously Bitcart plays a big role in that as well.
Yes,
So
I mean, that was during all the arguments and stuff about, obviously, whenever there's a problem, people get emotional, and especially people tend to get very antsy and restless whenever the price of Dash is lagging behind where they think it should be, and then they start taking it out anyone they're dissatisfied with, right? The inmates are restless. So people are all dogpiling on Bitcart and stuff, and then I was saying, look, I kind of need these guys for now, because so much, like, I don't have a bank account, and right now I had a ShakePay card and a Wirex card, and both of them got shut down in North America. So I'm gonna have to wait for that to pivot, and it's like, how am I gonna pay the bills? Just like keep selling Dash for a big wad of cash and stuff and just walking around. Like right here, this is what I use to fuel up my vehicle, because Irving petrol stations in the United States, or at least only in New Hampshire as far as I know, and Maine, they you can buy gift cards off of Amazon.com via Bitcart, and this is what I use to fuel my vehicle. Other than that, I mean, what would I use? And so stuff like that, these kinds of things really allow people to live without banking services, and that's what I'm lucky to be able to live this experiment right now. But right now, people are still talking to me about, whoa, that's crazy. How do you do it? I dream of a year very soon, hopefully within 5 years, when no one will blink. I'll be like, yeah, I don't have a bank account. They're like, who has a bank account anymore?
Absolutely. Right,
All
boy.
right.
I think we might have to wrap this up. So firstly, thank you to Alex so much, and for bringing your whiteboard as well. Absolutely brilliant. I'm sure the community are going to want to see a lot more from you. Graham, thank you so much for being so professional. Your update response to Bitcart was fantastic, and I really appreciate you coming on the show to speak. I think you're a great example to other proposal owners how to deal with these, these issues when they arise. And I have a message for the Dash community as well. Always try to be respectful. Don't go straight for the jugular. Graham is a strategic business partner within Dash. Criticism is always great as long as it's constructive. Be happy. And from my personal point of view, I always tell you exactly what I think. That's what part of the show's for us to have a conversation with the community. I've met some of the developers literally this week, and I'm a Dash fanboy, I'm a Dash maximalist, and these guys are fully on board. So I'm sure they're watching it now. They watch our show from their offices. So Graham, you might have to help me out here. So I want to give a shout out to Rui from Lisbon, Portugal, Fergie, Patrick, Florin, Jake, Martin, Darren, Graham himself, and the newest addition, Weechi, aka Cisco. Did I miss anyone out?
I think that should be everyone. And yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. It's been nice to welcome you in Ireland, Mark, for the first time. You got to see the team. It's by no excuse that I come on here and just and plead this lightly. This is really, I take these criticisms very seriously, and this is a very good constructive conversation to have. So thanks for everybody who's reached out and given us feedback. Please continue to give us feedback as we move on with our next update. everything revolves around user experience, right? So our developers will work hard on delivering whatever you want them to build. So thanks
Yes,
again.
and I would like to part with an announcement. As of today, as of right now, apologies, the BitCart is full.
Well, it is Friday the 13th.
Yes, bad luck. But it was 58% full when we started this, and now it is completely full. And that should be, while we're announcing other things like the market price is this today, transaction volume, the hash rate is however many terahashes, and the BitCart
250.
is 64% full or whatever.
Yeah.
That will be part of our announcement from now on.
Yeah, Graham, finally, BitCart. Did I get it right? Correct me if I'm wrong. South Korea, 25% of the demand is coming from there. Is that true? Did I get that right?
I can't quantify it right now at the moment, about 25%. Up until, I would say, a year ago, the majority of it was actually coming from Asia. We actually had very few customers from the United States availing of Amazon.com gift cards. I think what might change this and maybe balance the spectrum again is the ability now, which only happened recently, which we announced immediately with the version 4.0, the fact that you can use Amazon to buy your petrol gift cards, as Joel has, or your Whole Foods gift cards. I think this might balance it a bit more in the US favor, but it's about 1/4 Asia, 3/4 America at the moment, and these are the only two continents that we work with.
Excellent.
So Asia is very, very important for us, as it is for Dash community as well. And it was great to be able to use the money from the Masternode proposal last month to be able to go to Seoul and Hong Kong. Here we met, by the way, like people from BitHome. We met the largest exchange of the world. Like, we trained and learned some Korean. We learned the etiquette. We hired a project manager in Seoul who was able to translate all our emails, was able to go to the meeting where 80% of what was spoken was in Korean. People don't speak as much English there. As a result, the BitHome management contacted me immediately the next morning to announce that they would be adding Dash to the BitHolic exchange, which is based in Singapore. So look, as we work with BitCart and as we use money from Masternode proposals, you must understand that we use this with the full intention to get people like Mark out to our events, to get people like out in South Korea who can talk and translate what we're doing. This is all for the benefit of Dash. If people, if anything changes in the future and people vote against us, absolutely, I respect that, but I won't go down without fighting. And I really do feel that this is where we need to be in this space. And so I'm happy to be here and to continue.
So Joel, you did hear that just right. That is a new exchange in Singapore. Oh. Thank you to Graham for doing that. Like I said, people, he's a great ambassador and representative for Dash. He is a true believer, and that is Dash-tastic news. That's a new exchange in Singapore. We wasn't sure whether to announce it or not. But yes, that is great. So Joel, you might be the first person, if you can get your pen out quick enough to get that out into the news crypto sphere and publish that. So that is breaking news on Dashforce News.
Cool. Well, we broke it here.
Are we going to
podcast? I'm going to have to take off, so I won't be available for that, but you guys can get something going. I'm sure the community wants to pile on in.
Alex, you up for it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, I might stick around for like half an hour. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's wrap things up. So, yeah, once again, thank you to Graham and Alex for joining us today on episode 21 of the Free Amigos. Time flies when you're
legal drinking age. In the States, at least. 3 years behind schedule.
14 in France, right, Alex?
Wow.
Sorry?
14 in France, right? The age limit to drink alcohol.
8.
In the restaurant.
No one really care about that. The law say 18, but we don't drink that much. You shouldn't drink outside, but people still do sometime after 2 o'clock or stuff like that. Yeah, no one care.
I like that.
Love it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let's wrap this up. Okay, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed before, and also click the bell for notifications for future Free Amigos podcasts. And we will see you next week. Same dash time, same dash channel. Stay dashy. Say bye, guys.
Peace.
Good night.
Yo, Cormagat.